right now. Okay, we are ready to go. Welcome once again to another live stream interview. This is Mark Torres with Came From The Radio. I am host, and I host a weekly radio show out of Long Island every Sunday at 4 o'clock. But sometimes we like to have a little extra time, and we go to places such as Royal Collectibles in Queens, New York, where we have, if I can say each other better, we have special guests with us. So today, last time we had artist Brian Kong, and today we have artist N. Steve Harris, right there. And that's him right there. So say hi.
Hello, everybody.
So I guess the first question is, should I call you N or do I call you Steven?
Call me Steve. Steven.
Call you Steve. Steven.
Yeah,
all right.
and
so
Steven Harris is for publication purposes only.
Oh, so it's like Michael J. Fox with the J is you had a.
I guess you could say that.
Because it was an active thing.
Someone once said like J. Michael Straczynski.
Yeah.
That's something like that too, I guess. So you could use that analogy as well.
Okay, so why don't you tell everybody about yourself? I know I've seen you at conventions all over the place. Many New York conventions I've seen you at.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what publications do you do? Because I know you have comics and everything.
Yeah, well, I'm a freelance illustrator. I specialize in comics and storyboards for TV commercials. My main love is doing comics. I've been freelancing for a number of years, since going back to my first freelance job was back in '91. I've done work for Marvel, DC, Dark Horse. I've had a book published by Image going back. It was called The Crush, that was published by Motown. Produced by Motown, published by Image.
Wow.
Yeah, that's back in '95. And I created a character named Aztec for DC Comics, which was written by Grant Morrison and Mark Millar. I've done an annual for Deadpool, Catwoman, some Batman books for DC. Currently, I do creator-owned books. My own creator-owned book called Brotherhood of the Fringe, and I have one on me too, and a Jala series of adventures I have as well. I do with Robert Garrett.
Which would be this over here.
Mm-hmm. And so here's Brotherhood of the Fringe. This is I create, I write, draw, and color, and letter as well. And here is a Jala. This is a Jala. Book one, which won 2 Glyph Awards for best female character.
All right, so let's hit with the
Oh, also I'm a Eisner nominated. I'm an Eisner nominated artist too.
Look at that. He's big time.
For Watson and Holmes for best single issue and best new series. I did one issue of Watson and Holmes issue number 6. I did another issue which hasn't come out yet, which is going to be in the volume 2 trade, along with issue 6.
Okay, so let's start with minorities, because number one, you got an award for female character.
Yes.
You are obviously a minority.
You can say that. I don't like the term minority, but you can say that.
Oh, okay.
But it's go ahead.
Quote unquote minority, right?
Yeah.
And you draw.
I draw. Yes.
Minority characters, mostly.
Yes.
So, since you said yourself you don't like that term.
Yeah, because it's because the word minor, isn't it? And if I may be a part of a population that's less numbers in one country, but if I connect myself to the global population, I'm not a minority. So I'm a person of color. I'm a person of African descent. In this country, I'm African American, but I don't like the term minor or minority. I am what I am, but I don't like to see myself as minor.
Okay, so we'll go with African American artist.
Yeah, that's fine. And I really hate to be like, mincing terms like that, but sometimes that's a pet peeve of mine.
It's fine,
Yeah.
The question was.
Yes, what's the question?
Because of your distinction, do you find it easier or harder to work into the quote unquote mainstream comic industry?
It's been. I haven't done any mainstream. Well, mainstream meaning work from DC or Marvel or the big two.
Mainstream meaning that we are in the United States. This
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
it's, everything's
I've done
white guys, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I've done. Like I
That's
said,
what I mean.
I've done them, but I haven't done it for a while. But but I have done work for Dynamite. I drew 6 issues of Voltron. But coming up, I've done I've done not all the characters, but I've done several characters for other companies, and I've always wanted to do my own character, do my own story, but I was never a writer. I had a story, but I had a big grand concept. Excuse me, but never an idea how to put it together until I joined the studio in the late '90s, and that studio was had people in it like Gray Williamson and Louis Small Jr. and other people came through like Machindo Kuumba, Chris Walker, a few other artists. People visited this. It was over in Times Square, Manhattan, on a penthouse place. And I say penthouse, but it wasn't anything fancy. But going through that studio helped me a lot as far as how to construct a story and get more focus into creating my own property or comic book. And in doing so, I started writing my book, Brotherhood of the Fringe. Now, I always had the idea going back to the early '90s, but I just never put it together. I had characters, a big concept, but no idea. Now, I learned how to focus a story and kind of personalize it, and have the personal story in there, and in a larger context, larger setting, within the larger concept. So so I finally found my voice in doing so. So I started doing that, and later on I started doing. I hooked up with Robert Garrett through two ways, through BlackSuperhero.com, which would be an online message board, and also through I first met him face to face at New York Comic Con in 2006, and we doing 3 years later we came up with the concept of Jala, and we've been running with that since 2009, 2010.
Now, when you're working on your own creation,
Mm-hmm.
do you find it, because it's your baby,
Yeah.
do you find it easier or harder to work with a writer, because you said it was your idea, and then you have a writer come in to kind of focus it in?
Well, there's two things with Brotherhood of the Fringe. It helped me because I write it myself and I create it myself, but Rob helped me a little bit with the next book. So it's just 2 books out, and I have a third book is drawn, but he helped me with the second book and started as far as with the dialogue and some story issues I had, and so that was very helpful. But with Ajala, he writes it, and we go back and forth on the direction of the story, but he mainly handles the direction and the writing of the story, and I pretty much draw it and do the character designs. However, with issue 4, I did plot out the first 7 to 8 pages. I plotted out, but so it depends on who you're working with. With Rob, it's very easy. I love working from his scripts. His dialogue is great. It's like actual people talking, and then it's not 2-dimensional. It's 3-dimensional. It's real characters, real issues, and then you throw in some action here and there.
So when you first started, way back when you were youngin',
Yeah.
were you like, one day I'm gonna start my own comic book, or one day I'm gonna draw for this guy, or one day I'm gonna? I had the common idea most creators have, or upcoming artists have, is that I'll work for the big 2 companies, and then when I make it big, I'll do my own company, do my own story, and that was like we were trying to follow. I guess we saw what the guys at Image did, and we want to do that too. But it's hard getting into 2 companies. It's not an easy thing, and it may not happen. It may be even harder nowadays to do that. And if you do, you're lucky if you have some sustainability with those 2 companies, or maybe any other company. So that was my plan. Do work for Marvel, DC, or whatever company for 5 years and do my own story after I get famous, or I get a crowd. But you may not have that luxury. You can still try that, but the way things are today with social media and all these conventions popping up nowadays, you can do that on your own. That could happen you can do that yourself, but it's going to take work, and it's going to take it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you could use
put your property together. Use social media to promote it. Use conventions to promote yourself. Don't expect to make a lot of money the first couple of years, if at all. For
years.
Yeah.
He's saying years.
Yeah. So you gotta. What I mean, some people do. Some people even do prints and pinups to help sell their stuff, and to offset some of the costs you're gonna come across in printing and buying tables and traveling. So you have to keep that in mind. So if you're going to do this, do not quit your day job. If you have a day job, do not quit it.
One of the themes we have when we have guests on our radio show, we always ask them, why do they do it? If there's no money,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always costly, and it's always a lot of work, and everybody's like, we do it for the love of the property.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any type of money involved at all?
No, there's money
anywhere down the line.
In self-publishing. Yes, there is, because you own the character. Now, if this character becomes picked up by a studio, animation place, a gaming company, TV production studio, then you can make money off of it if it's optioned. I'm not sure how options work right now, even though Watts and Holmes are options, but I don't get anything from that. That goes to Brandon Perlow and Paul Mendoza, the co-creators of Watts and Holmes. So in that respect, you can make some money. And people, I mean, I was on a panel last year at San Diego Comic-Con, and there was a woman on the panel talking about we were on the Comixology panel, and she was talking about, she has her book on Comixology. I forgot which one it was, but she put it up on Comixology, and I guess through her own work at some point she was able to pay her rent from the money she made from Comixology, having it been on there and selling it on Comixology. So I don't know if it's sustainable, if it sustains her, but she at least made her rent at least for a month or two through selling it on Comixology. So
then how much time, energy, and effort, if you're still keeping your day job, do you have to put in to be successful?
Whatever spare time you have.
So no partying, no hanging out
No,
with
you
friends,
can party,
video games.
You can party. No, you chill on the video games. Chill on the video games. I know that will eat your time up. But I mean, you got to get out. You got to hang out. You got to party every now and then. But you really got to realize, if you don't get the work done, the work doesn't get done.
Speaking of getting work done, when I went to a comic book school 100 years ago, the one thing they always stressed was deadlines.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that no matter how good you draw or how good you are, if you can't make that deadline, it's not going to happen. So can you explain how deadlines work and what?
Three things in comics: deadline, storytelling, and drawing. I think in that order. Deadlines, you gotta make your deadlines, because with publications, they make their money not from sales, they make their money from advertisers. Now advertisers look at the sales and see if the volume of sales this publication makes, is it worth the advertisers' while or money to invest in this publication or this publisher to advertise their product to get these many looks. And so I think the publisher then says to me, well, okay, your ad's going to show it in this book at X amount of time. Now, if it's late, if this publication is late, then the advertiser, I'm told, has the right to ask for their money back. So big companies like Marvel, DC, and other companies have the right to, I mean, not a right, but if the artist is late, then they may have to have some other artists come on and make this possible to be on time.
Right, so fill an artist.
Yeah, fill an artist, or someone to help out the other artists get this book done so it meets the deadline. So deadlines are important. There may be built-in safeguards to deal with that from the company, but you need to make your deadlines. And number two is, I said, storytelling. Some people may be attracted to a story which you and I, or some people may think the art is garbage or like so-so, but it draws people in from the story. But the storytelling is there. They follow it. They know what's going on. It makes them laugh. It makes them feel some kind of way, and it speaks to them. So there may be something in that story, like for instance, a bunch of manga books. A lot of manga books, the artwork is not great, but people love manga. A lot of people love manga. And there's artwork that is great. I mean, I used to follow one guy. I think his name is Ryoichi Ichigami. I don't know if I pronounced his name right, but he did these three books. The first one I saw was My the Psychic Girl. The second one was Crying Freeman, and the third one was Sanctuary. I never finished Sanctuary. I got finished Sanctuary, but his artwork was phenomenal. And then there's other artists in there who are good too. But I'm not really a manga follower like some people are a fan. Like some people are. I just watch the animations. But storytelling is the third one. Art is third. Now when I say 1, 2, 3, they're all important. It's just that when it comes to the crunch, if you have an assignment, that editor is going to want that book done on time. If it doesn't look good, they may not call you, but as long as it's done, they're one level of them is happy. But it's 1, 2, 3 deadlines, storytelling, and artwork. And the artwork has to be. I mean, it should be solid in some case. I mean, if you work for the big two, it has to be of a certain level. If you're doing your own publication, for another publication, depending on their market, they may be looking for something else.
Now, speaking of art,
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest debates of comic books
Mm-hmm.
is which is more important, art or storytelling, the artist or the writer. Now, since you do both, you can have a unique perspective on which is better.
Well, I can't. I'm not going to equate myself to other writers who have been in the field, grinding and using their craft and have studied their craft for a long time. I write one book and I'm barely doing that. So, but as an artist, they're both important. Comic book mediums would not work with one or the other. There's a storytelling medium that has a writer and an artist. Sometimes they're one and the same. Sometimes there's two, or maybe there may be three. There may be someone that plots the book out, someone that scripts the book out, someone that draws the book out. The art catches the person's attention. The art may keep the person for a long time, but if the story is boring, if it's not going anywhere, if it meanders, or if it's just bad, you're gonna lose. You may lose the viewer. You may keep the viewer who is an artist, but you may not keep the viewer who is a fan of the book. Like there's been several artists so there's been a few artists that I've known of that I've come across, but I found out later that were great artists, but they weren't really fan friendly.
Okay.
I mean, there was one that I used to look at who wasn't a fan of, but I became a fan of later on as I grew older and more of an artist. So it was, I don't know if I want to mention his name, but well, I was mentioned as a fan. It was Bill Sienkiewicz.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't a fan of his work when he first did New Mutants. That's when I first came across him. I was a teen at the time, but as I grew older, I became to appreciate his art much more. Now I started loving it. I started seeking his work out, like the Elektra limited series. I started looking back at my New Mutants books. I went back and looked at his Moon Knight books and saw his transition from when you saw his heavy influence of from Neil Adams into his transition to what the art into the beginning of his transition to what he is now, and many other books that he's illustrated that I've enjoyed since I've grown as an artist.
So, when you started out, who were your influences? What books did you look at? You know, like, okay, I want to draw like this guy. I want to draw like that guy.
Yes. Okay. There's many stages. The first comic book I was getting was Star Wars. So I guess that was Carmine Infantino. But I didn't even look at him too much. I collected Walt Simonson's Battlestar Galactica, but that was before I knew who Walt Simonson was, until I started collecting comics later on. But I would have to say, first I collected Shogun Warriors by Herb Trimpe, but later on there was a break and I started collecting comics again. So then at that second stage was Paul Smith, Paul Smith's X-Men, John Romita Jr.'s X-Men, uh, Barry Windsor Smith, uh, Garcia Lopez is a primary influence of mine. Uh, um, Maybe a little bit Michael Golden. Okay, then there was big influence of Rick Leonardi. Rick Leonardi, Arthur Adams, briefly Todd McFarlane, but as I grew more into being as I grew more as an artist, he was really brief. I started really looking at Garcia Lopez, his storytelling, his setting up of scenes, his backgrounds, his attention to detail, and because as an artist going to school of visual arts, I was an illustration major, and we were always taught to treat the foreground just as important as the background. Now, there may not be as much in the background, but it still requires thought. It still requires your attention just as much as the foreground. So when I looked at Garcia Lopez's work, I remember his backgrounds were well thought out. They were actual rooms. They were actual living rooms, dining rooms, TV, or whatever rooms they were in, whether it was futuristic or current day. He had. I always remember plants for some reason, but I remember always having if it was in a household, I would always take a plant pot somewhere. It was a big one, a small one hanging from the ceiling, or a big one in the corner somewhere. There would be a plant.
So, in my experience.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's more.
One more.
There's more influence. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't forget later influence as a pre-professional, as a professional. It was Dennis Cowan from Milestone. Michael Davis as a teacher. I was assistant to Dennis Cowan. He helped me a lot with my storytelling, and it's the business. Michael Davis helped me out a lot with the business. Then, as I grew, as I was a professional, I still needed more learning. I still acquired more learning from Gray Williamson. When I joined the studio, he taught me a lot about more about storytelling, more about the things in the comics to pay attention to. My drawing, so my drawing jumped from the time I was in the studio from one point to another. So those, and Larry Stroman was a big influence. I remember I used to always seek him out at those Fred Green or Bob Greenberg conventions in the early '90s.
Fred, I think it was. Right. Fred. I think it was.
Because one's
the artist and one's the.
No, one was a DC Comics editor, and one was the promoter for the comic conventions back in the early '90s. But it was the Greenberg comic conventions.
Yes, I remember that name. Yes.
I remember Larry Stroman always be in those conventions. I always seek him out and try to pick his brain on penciling comics and how to pencil and not lose much when the inker inks it or something like that. I would just pick his brain for anything.
I remember at a time when the major companies decided that inkers weren't important, and they decided to go straight from pencils to print.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I do it myself because I just don't have the time to ink. Penciling takes long enough. It's a shame. Marvel and DC don't do it as much as smaller companies do it. And small companies do it. They still have people ink it, but they may have the artist. They may have one person do it. Well, sorry, it's two. They may have one person do it, the pencil and inks, but still pay them pretty much one rate. That's still like a low rate. That's like less than the pencil rate that I would be used to. And I've worked for these companies who require that, but I make sure my pencils are really tight. And I clean them up in Photoshop and darken them in Photoshop to make them look like they were inked. So I guess some artists just use a Cintiq and draw in the Cintiq and make it look like it, and to have that ink quality. But the thing about the Cintiq is that there's less, or if any, resale value for those original pages. There's no original pages. So at some point, I like to have the original pages on hand. So if in case I need to sell artwork, I can have the extra money.
So if there's no original, but it is created originally, how does that work?
I don't know. I don't know. You have to ask digital artists, or if there's a market for that. I mean, they may make prints. They could make limited prints of it.
But it still wouldn't be an original.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. You could probably get over through some extent making limited prints of the work, but yes, it's not an original. So I don't see how it works, but just because I don't see how it works doesn't mean it doesn't work. But
right.
I'm open to be educated on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your book. Are they self-contained stories, or is it an ongoing series?
Ongoing series for now. I see Brotherhood of Fringe ending at some point, but I just got to get writing and drawing it more and getting out there more. Ajala may be an ongoing series. So we plan to have a trade out for New York Comic Con and go from there. I'm currently working on another project with some other people called The Mighty Majestics. You can check out their Facebook page called The Mighty Majestics, or the Mighty Magical Majestics on Facebook, and read up on that story. I wouldn't do it justice if I gave you a plot synopsis of it. So
okay.
I mean, I will be meandering, but it's a good story. It features a family. Well, I guess I'll try. It features a family that has ties, familial ties going back to ancient Egypt, and they come across an ancient threat that threatens the planet, and they go head to head and fight it out. So I'll say that much because I don't want to give too much away because I wasn't cleared. But it's out. The pages are out on Facebook, so that's what I'll say.
With the way I would say the big companies are.
Yeah.
Their goal obviously is to make money. Their goal
Yes.
is to keep their property out as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that having an ending to your story, which you said eventually you might do,
Yeah.
is the better way to go, because therefore you have a beginning, middle, and end, and you have an actual story, or as opposed to something that just goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the same concerns as a big company. Big company has bigger concerns than I do. So I mean, at some point, I want this to end. And I want to do another story because I have other ideas. I mean, I like to draw different things. I like to draw The Fringe, which is like a revolutionary, earthbound type of story. Next story I want to do is more cosmic, with cyborgs involved with it. So I could do both. As people when I did Voltron, a lot of people didn't know I could do giant robots and tech like that. They're used to seeing
Organic.
Well, yeah, organic and urban stuff from me, like Watching the Homes or Ajala or other stuff I've done in the past. Because I can draw buildings.
Okay.
I don't know, but that's that was a thing.
All right, so we almost out of time. We got about 4 minutes left. So, where can people find your stuff? Where can people buy your book?
People can buy the books on Ajala. Books 1 through 4 are available digitally at Peep Game Comics. Comics with an X. PEEP COMIX game.com. Peep Game Comics. No, Peep Game Comics. Okay. I don't know. Peep Game Comics, and print versions are available through three places. Through nsworks.bigcartel.com or xmorestudios.bigcartel.com.
Is that on there?
Yes, on there.
Well, it has your number on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and or if those places aren't available, you can go to indieplanet.com, which will have the books 1 through 2. Books 1 and 2 on Indie Planet, and the keyword Ajala. Same with the Fringe. Brotherhood of Fringe is available either through nsworks.bigcartel.com or indieplanet.com. Keyword Fringe.
And what about your site? Do you have a place where people can contact you, find your artwork?
You can contact me through my Facebook page, I'm on Twitter at nstephenharris, Facebook nstephenharris, and my website, I'm on DeviantArt, nstephenharris.deviantart.com, and nstephenworks.com, www.nstephenworks.com.
Now, as we did with last time, we had our artist we did a little contest. So, actually, Steve is right here. He was supposed to be sketching thing, but he's going to draw a little sketch cover. You want you hold it up so people actually can see.
Oh, this is not even.
Well, they can see what they can see what it started. What it started as, so that way they know he's actually drawing it right now. He's drawing it right now on this Planet Hulk. So. It's there. Trust me, it's there. So what we're going to do is we'll have everybody who comments on this video, and they'll be entered in a drawing, and we'll give them like a month. So on August 29th, we'll randomly have a winner. So just a comment, good or bad. We'll take any comment you want. We give you more points for good. Wink, wink. But and if you what is it? Share. You can share videos, right? So if you share a video, we'll give you 2 entries, and if you comment it, we'll give you 1 entry. How's that?
Okay. If I share,
so if this is gonna be recorded on YouTube, and it's gonna be on our YouTube page.
Okay.
So if you share it, because it tells you who shares the video, and if you share it, you get 2 entries.
Okay.
And if you comment it, you'll get 1 entry.
Okay.
And then your name will be added, and we'll have a little drawing, and we'll put your name. And this actual finished artwork is going to be at Royal Collectibles, so you guys can go take a look at it. What are you drawing on it, by the way? So people
drawing the Hulk.
He is drawing the Hulk on a Planet Hulk sketch cover, which is a good idea because who wants to see Batman on a Planet Hulk?
That was just crazy talk. Right?
Do you have any other final thoughts? Any other things you want to plug before we?
sign off? Maybe just I keep briefly run down the plot lines.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. My spiel for Brotherhood of Fringe is it takes place in the world.
Do you have the Brotherhood?
Yes.
Okay, so while he's talking,
Brotherhood of Fringe focuses on a young woman that lives in a nation that's been occupied and colonized by a foreign power for 30 years. She works for a corporation that's part of this foreign power, but secretly she works for a revolutionary group called the Fringe. But she's found out. And when she's found out, she's apprehended, brainwashed, and transformed into a living weapon to be used to terrorize her own people and to seek out and destroy the Fringe Revolution. That's the Fringe. And now Ajala, let me just give you a copy of Ajala so you can see the look.
Brotherhood right there. And it has reviews on the back. You can read that.
Okay. Ajala is about a young teen that finds out her parents were once part of a secret organization called the CSC, based in current-day Harlem. And the CSC goes back to 1920s, 1930s, which is founded by her ancestor of Ajala. Well, she finds out her parents were once part of the secret, or her mother was once part of this organization. Now she wants to join. And we follow her training. While we follow her training to be a young agent, we've learned more about her family, the CSC, and the community around, the surrounding Harlem community. We learn and then we learn about the rival to the CSC, which is called the Quo, which is there to destabilize, exploit the community, whereas the CSC is there to uplift, protect, and educate the community.
And these books are available once again. Last time, where can people find these books? Indie Planet, right?
Yes, Indie Planet, keyword Ajala or keyword Fringe.
And Ennis Works, right?
ennisworks.bigcartel.com, or you can find Ajala as well as at exmorestudios.bigcartel.com. And Ajala is available. All 4 issues of Ajala are available digitally at Peep Game Comics. Comics with an X.
Oh, one last thing before. Where are you going to be next? You're going to be at a convention?
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
that's kind of important. Where people can find you and see you.
I'll be at a convention in Long Island at Malloy.
So you'll be at the In Beyond Con, which is on
Beyond,
August 8th in Malloy College.
Malloy College, yeah, August 8th. I'll be there. I'll be on 2 panels there at Malloy College. And my partner Rob will be tabling there, so he'll have issues of Ajala and as well as other books from Exmoor Studios. In late August, I'll be in Atlanta at Honest Con. In September, August 14th to 15th, or August 14th to 16th, I think it is. I'll be in Atlanta for OnyxCon. OnyxCon in the 7th year of doing its convention. And then in September, I'll be in Detroit for MechaCon. In the first weekend of October, I may be in Ohio for SoulCon, which is at a college in Columbus, Ohio. And then the next week, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's going to be crazy. The next week is New York Comic Con, October.
To Ohio, New York.
Yeah,
You'll be alright. You'll be alright.
Oh gosh, I set myself up for it. I'll be at New York Comic Con, and the month after, I may be doing Urban Action Showcase in New York City.
So, in other words, if you're anywhere in the East Coast, you'll be able to see.
Yes.
And Steve Harris. I think that's about it, right? Anything else you want to mention before we go off?
No,
Have
just
any
that.
shout outs? Any...
Shout outs to my lovely wife, my daughter, and my mother-in-law who's staying with us for a little bit. She's visiting for the summer. And so, shout out to my family in Brooklyn, Bushwick. What?
All right. So thank you very much for doing this. We're gonna have another interview for another artist, Royal Collectibles, which is located at 9601 Metropolitan Avenue in Forest Hills, New York. You can go onto the website at www.royalcollectiblesonline.com. And you can find out more about the contest we're going to have. Like I said, the artwork is going to... He's still working on it right now.
So I got a few more lines on.
It's going to be up on our website. It's going to be here at the store. Yeah. So make sure you follow us on our YouTube page. Make sure you comment and share. And we'll see you next time. Make sure you listen to our radio show, It Came From Radio, which airs every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.am1240wgbb.com. You can also hear our old shows on iHeartRadio. And make sure you follow us for the next event, which will be in August. We'll see you next time.